Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Young and Restless preview, Victor's family fears the worst, plus what's wrong with Sharon. In a Young and Restless preview for the week of July 15 to 18, Victor's family meets to discuss his latest actions, and they can't help wondering what the fallout will be. Read on for the details and watch the video below. Diane and Jack were furious to learn Kyle had jumped ship to run Glissade for Victor Newman. He ranted that his parents never saw his potential, and now he would turn Glissade into the IT company and a major contender in the cosmetics field. He later informed Summer that he was moving out of the Abbott house and taking Harrison with him. When the issue of custody came up, Kyle reminded Summer that she was not the boy's biological mother. Ouch! Coming up, Summer confronts Kyle and says, "A trip for two to Paris, you really have lost your mind, haven't you?" It looks like Kyle is taking Claire on a vacation, or could she have this all wrong? Victoria chats with Nikki and Nick about what Victor is doing, namely trusting Audra and Kyle to run Glissade. Victor is hoping they'll not only crush Jabbit, but any and all of the competition. Nikki notes Victor hasn't gotten his way yet again. Victoria ponders, "Let's just hope he doesn't live to regret it." Nikki adds, "Let's hope we all don't live to regret it." Finally, Sharon wakes up on her couch. There are papers and letters scattered all over her place, and she herself looks tattered and tired. She cries, "What's happening to me? Could it be her bipolar disorder, or is this something new?" Be sure to read our Young and Restless spoilers to find out what could complicate things for Daniel and Heather, and what Summer's next move is. As the sun began to set over Genoa City, the town's skyline painted in hues of gold and purple, a thick cloud of worry loomed over the Newman family. Victor Newman, the patriarch who had always been the unshakable foundation, was nowhere to be found. His sudden disappearance had sent shockwaves through the family, leaving them grasping at straws and fearing the worst. Nikki Newman paced the grand living room of the Newman Ranch, her phone clutched tightly in her hand. She had been trying to reach Victor for hours, but each call went straight to voicemail. The usually composed matriarch was on the brink of panic, her mind racing with possibilities. Was it an enemy from Victor's past seeking revenge, or perhaps a new, unforeseen threat? Nick Newman, standing by the fireplace, watched his mother with concern. "Mom, we need to stay calm," he said, though his own voice betrayed his anxiety. "We have to think rationally. Maybe he's just dealing with something privately." Nikki shook her head, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and determination. "Victor would never leave us in the dark like this, Nick. Something is terribly wrong." Just then Victoria Newman burst through the door, her face ashen. "I've checked all his usual places. He's not at the office, the club, or even the penthouse. It's like he vanished into thin air." Abby Newman joined the group, having rushed over as soon as she heard the news. "Should we contact the police?" she asked, her voice trembling. "What if he's in danger?" As the family debated their next steps, a new worry began to gnaw at them. Sharon Newman, who had been a pillar of support for the family through many crises, had been acting strangely over the past few days. Her usually bright and cheerful demeanor had been replaced by a distant, almost haunted expression. Sharon sat alone in her living room at the cottage, staring blankly at a family photo. The image of her, Nick, and their children seemed to mock her current state of mind. She had been feeling an inexplicable sense of dread, a dark cloud that seemed to hang over her, no matter how hard she tried to shake it off. Her hands trembled as she picked up her phone and dialed Nick's number. She needed to talk to him, to tell him about the unsettling dreams that had been plaguing her sleep, the sense of foreboding that wouldn't leave her. But as the phone rang, she hesitated, her thumb hovering over the end call button. She didn't want to add to his burden, not when the family was already in such turmoil. Back at the ranch, the tension was palpable. The door opened and Adam Newman walked in, his expression a mix of concern and frustration. "I just got the news." "What the hell is going on? Where's Dad?" Nick filled Adam in on the details, and for once, the Newman siblings put aside their differences. Their father's safety was paramount, and they needed to work together. Suddenly, Nikki's phone buzzed, and she answered it with trembling hands. "Victor, is that you?" But it wasn't Victor. It was his longtime security chief, Frank Ellis. "Nikki, we found his car," Frank said, his voice grave. "It's parked near the lake. There's no sign of him." The news hit Nikki like a punch to the gut. She felt her knees go weak, and Nick rushed to her side to support her. "We need to go there," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "We need to find him." As the family hurried to the lake, Sharon's unease grew. She felt a strange pull, a sense that she needed to be with the Newmans. Without fully understanding why, she grabbed her keys and headed out the door. At the lake, the scene was eerily quiet. Victor's car was parked at an odd angle, the driver's side door left open. The Newmans spread out, calling his name, their voices echoing through the still evening air. Nikki clutched Victor's jacket, which had been found draped over the front seat. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "Victor, where are you?" As the minutes ticked by with no sign of Victor, the family's worst fears began to feel like an impending reality. The sky grew darker and the first stars began to twinkle, mocking their desperate search. Sharon arrived at the lake, her heart pounding. She spotted the Newmans and hurried over to them. "What's happened? Have you found him?" Nick shook his head, his expression grim. "No, we haven't. But something doesn't feel right. It's like he just disappeared." Sharon's sense of dread intensified. She closed her eyes, trying to focus, to see if her intuition could provide any clues. In her mind's eye, she saw flashes of water, the sound of splashing, and a figure struggling. She gasped, her eyes snapping open. "I think he's in the water," she said urgently. "We need to check the lake." The family turned towards the lake, their flashlights piercing the darkness. They moved closer to the water's edge, calling Victor's name louder, their voices tinged with desperation. Suddenly, a faint sound reached their ears. A weak, muffled cry for help. Nick was the first to react, plunging into the water without hesitation. The others followed, their eyes scanning the surface for any sign of movement. Then, in the dim light, they saw him. Victor was clinging to a piece of driftwood, his strength nearly gone. Nick reached him first, pulling him towards the shore with the help of Adam and Victoria. Nikki fell to her knees beside Victor, cradling his head in her lap. "Victor, thank God," she sobbed. "What happened? Are you okay?" Victor coughed, water streaming from his mouth. "I'm fine," he rasped. "Just got a little too close to the edge. Lost my footing." As the family gathered around, their relief palpable, Sharon stood back, a strange sense of calm washing over her. She didn't understand the connection she had felt, but she knew that it had helped save Victor's life. Later, as they all returned to the ranch, the mood was a mix of relief and lingering worry. Victor assured them he was fine, but Nikki insisted he see a doctor to be sure. The family settled in, their bond stronger than ever after the ordeal. Sharon, still feeling a bit out of sorts, decided to head home. As she walked to her car, Nick caught up with her. "Sharon, thank you. I don't know how you knew, but you did. You saved my dad." She smiled weakly. "I'm just glad he's okay. I don't know what's been going on with me, Nick. I've been having these strange feelings, dreams. I think I need to figure out what's wrong with me." Nick nodded, concern etched on his face. "Whatever it is, we'll figure it out together. You're not alone, Sharon." As Sharon drove away, she couldn't shake the feeling that something bigger was at play, something that connected her to the Newmans in ways she didn't yet understand. The mystery of Victor's disappearance might have been solved, but her own journey was just beginning.